What's up, everybody? Furyn here. So I think we got a fun one here for you today. We're going to go ahead and look at 3 different speed teams for Dragons 20. The caveat that I'll start this with is that I'm going to deep dive on these team comps. It's probably mostly useful for folks that are only already doing Dragon 20 at like 4+ minute runs and are looking to get that down quicker. But for the rest of us, we can just sit here and enjoy some Dragon Carnage. And also, definitely stick around to the end. I got a special surprise with the last team comp for you, something you definitely don't want to miss. So the one I'm starting off with here is, this is my bread and butter Dragon 20 team that I run right now. My fastest time that I pulled off with this team is about a minute flat. And I think we'll see a couple of runs here get close to that, but it would probably average somewhere closer to the 110 to 120 range. There's a couple key pieces of this team comp. Dracomorph is the real big hero. But we got Dracomorph there for the Aoe Defense down and weaken to make it so that we can clear the waves safely. We got the poison damage to help rip through this boss. And then we have 2 Aoe nukers in Skullcrown and Ray. They're mostly just there to help with the trash. And then we have 2 enemy max HP scaling damage dealers in Royal Guard and Coldheart. They're both actually pretty great in this dungeon as well because they do decent damage on the waves as well. So you can see here, Royal Guard ended up doing the most damage because he is doing that big slam on the first wave and also getting like a 700k crit off on the boss. Coldheart is pretty close behind with the AoE, or the single target A3 on the boss and the AoE A2 on the waves. Dracomorph is a bit lower here than I would see in some other comps we'll see later. The poison damage is really big in getting a fast Dragon 20 for like the minute 30-ish speed teams. But once you start getting some max HP damage in there, you saw the dragon just died too quick for Draco to really do too much. Yeah, now that we looked through kind of the pieces that I'm running, I'll talk through if you were going to try and replicate this team, you know, what's the most important and what should you try to get. So the first thing is, you need to make sure that you're able to kill the boss quickly. I've seen a lot of team comps that can, you know, go through the waves. They get to the last wave of the dragon, and it's just utterly slow. You know, maybe like a minute to get through the waves, then another 2 minutes for the dragon to do like a 3-minute run. And I found the easiest and biggest help in killing this dragon is poison damage. So the 3 characters that I recommend, I think, are the best at really just even soloing down the dragon, if it comes to that, are going to be Dracomorph, and then Xavia and Aethar. So I've actually seen, before I had Dracomorph, I ran Aethar. He can solo the boss pretty quickly. The key thing here is that he is Force Affinity alongside Xavia, so he doesn't take a lot of damage, and he puts up tons of poisons, which really tick this boss for a lot. The second big piece in order to give you successful quick times here is going to be an Aoe Defense Break, and along with some secondary either defense breaks or weekends is super great as well. So Draco here has the 3-turn Aoe Defense Break. The kind of more free-to-play, like everyone will have, option will be War Maiden. War Maiden, a little bit weaker because she's a rare, but since she is Force Affinity, she should be able to live through here as well. And the defense down is the bigger thing here. Weaken is great, but defense down is the bigger of the two in terms of getting this damage off. So this really lets you kind of shift from a team comp that's, instead of focused on something that is slow and steady, you see I basically just have 5 damage dealers here. And this will only work basically as long as you're not getting hit too much. When I first started running a faster team comp with 5 damage dealers, I would see like 1 to 2 to even 3 of my DPS die before I got to the dragon, and I would get to the dragon with just like Aethar and a healer, but that's fine. In fact, I was actually seeing faster runs in that case because Aethar was doing all the damage, and we just didn't have to wait for the attack animation of like Ray there doing 30k instead of poison ticking for like 500k. So the defense down, poison damage, then you just really want to have enough AoE to be able to kill through the waves. You can see here, Royal Guard is really great at that. He basically will just one-shot the first wave, all except for just like a little bit when you have that defense down and weaken. And then you can toss on top of that another AoE to kind of clean it off. Now, the turn order here is important. You do want to make sure that your debuffers are going first before the big AoE nukes. I found this pretty natural for me because Dracomorph is in my clan boss team, so I have him pretty speedy for that, as opposed to my big AoE nukers. A lot of them I run slow so that you can get the maximum attack off. and also I run with like counterattack masteries and stuff like that. So they're pretty slow. So it ended up being pretty easy for me to tune this the right way. But the big thing is just having that Dracomorph or, War Maiden or Zergala or Robar going first. Lastly, let's talk a little bit about leader skills. So one of the cool things about Ray, and part of the reason why I've kept her in this team comp for so long, even though you see, she kind of goes last out of the nukers and isn't always like the most critical to clearing these waves, is the speed leader has been like really instrumental in helping me push this time further and further down. However, as I like reach breakpoints where you're one-shotting or like getting close to being able to one-shot waves or one-shotting a certain mob and getting through the waves faster, then the attack aura will be pretty significantly better, not only because you're catching these breakpoints, but if you're doing the same damage in less attacks because you're going less but you're hitting for more, then you're just gonna be ending up having faster times, even if comparative to the dragon you're doing less damage. All right, and next I'm going to show off one slight variation of my team. This is what I've been running for a long time until recently. I subbed in a Coldheart for Rosin. I thought it'd be fun to show this off since with the Legendary Fusion, a lot of folks have Rosin, and he is an absolute beast in these dungeons. He was enabling me to get like 115, 120 minute times, I think is my best with him. Without the Coldheart, you end up missing a little bit of AoE damage and a A3 nuke on the boss itself, but he brings a lot of safety to this run. So when I first started doing like a faster team, it took me a long time. I wasn't one-shotting the waves. It would still take me a while to get through the waves. And with the skill up in his A3 with the 6-turn cooldown, I was actually being able to start each of the 2 waves with an A3 from Rosin and getting tons and tons of hits off before the mobs would even hit me at all. He also, Giant Slayer does a lot of damage against this boss. As we scale up in dungeons, that starts being a lot more relevant. He brings the defense down a weakened single target, which won't be as useful in the waves, but will continue to be useful on the boss. And also, since he is a force affinity and very, very tanky, he ends up being one of those things that if him plus one other person are all that end up being alive on the main boss, he will still help make pretty good work of it. So definitely a really strong member of a fast team comp, bringing the defense down a weaken for the boss, bringing the 3-hit A1 with Giant Slayer for the boss, and the A3 AoE damage and control to help you get through the waves faster. So definitely check him out and toss him in, either if you're struggling to clear this for the first time, or even as you speed up the team, it's still super useful. All right, and now for the last team comp that I'm going to show off. This is a buddy of mine from my clan. Huge shout out to Ahntrax. He has probably the fastest times I've seen for anyone on every single dungeon, and it's a really fun team comp to watch. It's basically around having double Royal Guard. I think he has one, maybe both in Reflex as well, with Prince Kymar to just basically spam the Royal Guard A2 over and over. And then the big difference you see here between his Dracomorph and my Dracomorph is that he does not use Draco in Clan Boss, so he has this one fully pimped out in crit and crit damage gear. When you see the A1 hit and kill someone and then a secondary crit from the split damage for like 600k, that's why. So mine has like no crit or crit damage, his has a ton. So here we saw a 38-second time. We're going to go through this one more time and I'll break down a little bit of why this team is so fast. So again, we have the Dracomorph for the AoE defense down and weaken. We have Battle Kezzar putting up the poisons, which gives you a 15% bonus damage from everyone. And you have the double Royal Guard hitting. And you saw at the very end of the last round, Kymar went and was able to reset the cooldown. So now here we have another Dracomorph AoE defense down weaken, another set of slams. And then coming to the boss, I think this is where we get some even like faster runs. He has some 30-second time runs, which happen because the reflex set procs and he ends up getting, I think there's another A2 from the Royal Guard, and maybe we got another one about to come up to finish it off. Not quite. But yeah, so super fun comp to watch. Basically just abusing Royal Guard to do all this damage over and over again. And we get these, 30, 40-second runs, which is absolutely ridiculous. And that's it. Thanks everyone for watching. Show some love to Ahntrax in the comments down below for showing off that ridiculous comp at the end. And kind of to recap, throw some poisons in your Dragon 20 team. Make sure you got an AoE Defense Break and let it rip.